Hey y'all, welcome to my YouTube channel where we learn together, take action together, and reflect together. My name is Tamira and thank you so much for being here. The Memphis Shelby County School Board has named a new superintendent for our district. And I could not be more thrilled to sit here basking in my joy with all of you. In this video, I am going to share my thoughts and reflections on the journey that got us to this important milestone. So hop in the car and let's ride. If you have been following, you know that it was a long ride getting here. And so it's important that we reflect, that we take a look in the rearview mirror and think about where we've been and everything that has happened to get us to this point. All the twists and turns, the bumps in the road, the detours, the potholes. And y'all know Memphis has a lot of potholes. The hills, the valleys, the storms, and the sunshine, because there was some sunshine, even if it was just peeking through the clouds at times. We lost some people along the ride. Some people were unfairly banned. Some people said, get somebody else to do it. Some people said, let me out this car right now and y'all circle back and pick me up when y'all get it together. And we gained some people along the ride, ready to step in when others were tired and had had enough. But through it all, we made it here. And I can say with joy, excitement, hope, and so much love that we have a new superintendent for Memphis Shelby County Schools. I am thrilled for our students and their families. I am thrilled for our teachers. I am thrilled for our district and our community. I am thrilled for Memphis. So let's zoom out and reflect on our journey. I'm going to share a timeline of significant events. Then I'm going to reflect on the week leading up to the final announcement, and then I'll share my thoughts about how it all played out. In August of 2022, our previous superintendent, Dr. Joris Ray, resigned after being involved in a scandal. And Tony Williams, the chief financial officer for the district at the time, was named the interim superintendent. It's important to note that when Tony accepted the superintendent role, she and the board clarified that she did not want the permanent role. And so the following year, in February of 2023, the board hired a search firm. In March of 2023, the search firm opened applications for those interested in becoming the next superintendent of Memphis Shelby County Schools. Also in March of 2023, interim superintendent Tony Williams announced that she would be applying for the role of superintendent. Now, this is one of those twists and turns I mentioned earlier. Remember, Tony Williams said she did not want the position and the board stamped that. In April of 2023, the search firm presented the top 3 finalists and Tony Williams was one of them. Now we are hitting all types of bumps in the road. As a collective community, including the board, we were lost, confused, and unclear about where we were going. We were all using different maps. Somebody said go left, somebody else said go right. Finalists dropped out. We got new finalists, including Dr. Angela Whitelaw, the district's current chief academic officer. And that's when the people say, screech, pump the brakes, stop the car right now before we go any further. At this point, we are at an impasse. We all had different maps, the tires were losing air, and we ran out of gas. We were stuck because we needed clarity on where we were going. And we also needed maintenance and some repairs. And so the board decided to pause the search. And then, roadside service comes along, also known as Tamika Hart, and she says, get out of this car, throw those maps away, reset your GPS, and let's start pushing up this hill. Let's course correct and map out a new plan forward. And so we make it to the mile marker for May 2023, where Tamika and the board engage in a public retreat centered around vision alignment. They review the policy and developed superintendent characteristics. There was more alignment, and they left this meeting with more clarity about where to go next. The sun started to peek out from behind the clouds. So we get back on the road, and then boom, we enter another storm. In June 2023, the board changed the policy, which made candidates without an education background eligible for the role of superintendent. Following this news, one of the school board members resigned. Community members questioned the integrity of the process. They questioned how the policy was able to be changed in the middle of the search. Y'all, the clamor from the community was so loud that interim superintendent Tony Williams removed her name as a candidate for superintendent, and the board extended her contract to be interim through 2024. So all of this happened in June. We made it through that storm, the search was paused, and in November of 2023, the application was relaunched and we got a new pool of 21 candidates. In December of 2023, the top 5 semifinalists were announced, and the board held public interviews and narrowed it down to 3. In January of 2024, the board publicly interviewed the finalists and allowed the community to interview and meet them as well. And so at this point, we are approaching the mile marker for naming the new superintendent, and of course, we run into a few more bumps known as the Shelby County Commission and Tennessee State Representative Mark White. The Shelby County Commission held a press conference and sent a letter to the school board encouraging them not to select a new leader and to instead meet with state representatives like Mark White, who is threatening to appoint board members and take away the people's right to vote. But the board does not allow those bumps to keep them from moving forward. And so on February 9th, 2024, the Memphis Shelby County School Board stood on integrity, truth, trust, dialogue, and transparency, naming Dr. Marie Feagins as the new superintendent of Memphis Shelby County Schools. The entire week leading up to the announcement was personally significant for me. I was excited, I was anxious, I was hopeful, and I was optimistic. We have gone through a lot to get to this point, y'all. You just heard me walk through it, and I am so ready for us to move forward so that we can continue to do the work to meet the academic, social, and emotional needs of all of our students. And being present in the meeting, thinking about everything that got us to this point, thinking about the negative chatter in the streets about people trying to stop the vote, a small part of me was nervous that something would derail the process yet again. But also at the same time, I believed more than I doubted that the school board, the only body responsible for hiring the superintendent, was going to do the right thing. I told one of my friends that if the board has learned anything over these last 18 months or so, they will name a new superintendent at this special called meeting, and it will be one of the top 3 highly qualified finalists. And so I'm sitting in this meeting calm, but also a little anxious. And it's so funny, y'all, because I watched a replay of the meeting, and during the public comments, I could see myself on camera just rocking side to side. I'm looking at the TV like, girl, be still. But it's okay. It's one of the ways I self-soothe when I'm feeling a little anxious. And let me tell you, the meeting was a show, especially for someone like me who geeks out on all things educational. If you watched the latest episode of Abbott Elementary, I am one of the nerds Ava was referring to. I love all things education, teaching, and learning. So I was delighted to be in the building. It was almost like watching a movie. I went to see Origin a couple of weeks ago, and my experience at the board meeting felt like that minus the popcorn and Sprite. It was tense, it was exciting, it was passionate, the energy was palpable, and all of us were on the edge of our seats anticipating the final vote. Tamika Hart began the meeting with a presentation sharing ratings the finalists had received from the board, principals, parents, teachers, community members, and community organizations. The board had an opportunity to ask questions and share individual reflections on the process. And after some discussion and a couple of rounds of votes, the board unanimously landed on Dr. Marie Feagins as the new superintendent. It will be documented in the meeting minutes that each of them voted for her as the next superintendent of Memphis Shelby County Schools. And y'all, it was a phenomenal sight to see. I am an optimistic and hopeful person. I believe in the good of people. I mean, I have to. Otherwise, what am I fighting for? I think we all have it in us to do what's right for our kids, each other, and our communities. And so I am so relieved that the school board made the right choice. I know it was very challenging and there was a lot of distrust along the way, but the board has done the work to get us back on track. They took accountability, and in the end, they stood on truth, integrity, transparency, dialogue, and love. They stood for the good of the community, and for that, I am proud. My faith was never lost, but it was starting to deplete, and now I feel replenished. I am refueled. Some water has been poured back into my cup, and I'm ready to move forward. People have asked me my thoughts about the new superintendent, Dr. Marie Feagins, and y'all know I have followed this process from the very beginning. I did not have a strong preference for a local or national superintendent. I just wanted a transparent process done with integrity, and I wanted a leader that was qualified to meet the needs of the children in the Memphis community. And so when the top 5 semifinalists were named in the second round, I watched all of the interviews, I reviewed the resumes, I conducted some additional research, and after all of that, I force ranked the candidates, and Dr. Feagins landed as my top choice. Then the board hosted a meet and greet for the community. I attended so I could observe how the candidates interacted with the community. I wanted to get a feel for their presence in the space. I introduced myself to each of them, I thanked them, and I shared a personal message. I didn't ask any questions, but I did listen to some of the questions other community members had, and I listened to the candidates' responses. And I was impressed by all of our candidates. Even after watching the third round of interviews, they were all very qualified, but Dr. Marie Feagins stood out. As Commissioner McKizak said, Dr. Feagins has this X factor. And before this process even started, before the superintendent resigned, I had developed a list of characteristics I wanted to see in any leader, whether it's a teacher in the classroom, a principal, or a district leader. I have a set of specific criteria based on Dr. Gloria Ladson-Billings' theory of culturally relevant pedagogy. I want a leader that is transformative. I want a leader that is critically conscious, culturally competent, and equity-centered. I want a leader that knows how to advance student learning. And so when I think about that list, Dr. Marie Feagins aligns more closely with that criteria. Not to say that the other finalists didn't come close or that interim superintendent Tony Williams is not qualified. but based on who we had in the pool, based on the needs of our students and teachers, based on the needs of our community, based on the interviews, based on the meet and greet, and my experience as an educator, Dr. Feagins is it. She is what we need to help improve the lives of our students, especially our students from marginalized communities, especially the Black and brown children of Memphis. In one of her interviews, she said she is the right leader at the right time, and I believe her. So come on, Dr. Feagins, congratulations to you. We welcome you to the 901. We welcome you to Memphis, and we cannot wait to support all of the great work that you and the school board will do moving forward. And I mean all of us. I am asking all of us in the Memphis and Shelby County community to get informed, get involved, to support Dr. Feagins, to hold her accountable, and to ensure that she has everything she needs to take the children of Memphis to the next level. And that's all I got for now, y'all. Let me know your thoughts and reflections in the comments. Thank y'all so much for riding with me. I love y'all. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time. Bye.